And wait for anybody to join here. Going to be waiting to see if anybody's going to join. Then we'll get started. Okay, what is going on, everybody? Chief Messenger here. Today, we're going to be diving into the book of Ecclesiastes, as the title says. One of my favorite books of the Bible. Out of the 66 books of the Bible, I believe there's 66 books. I can fact check that, but it is one of my favorite books in the entire Bible. We're going to kind of dissect it. Obviously, this is going to be part one because there is some chapters to this book. I'm going to see if anybody's going to join here, but welcome. Welcome to this channel. If you're hearing this for the first time, if you're just going back through the lives, which I plan to do a few of these, I believe in Jesus Christ as my Lord and Savior. I believe that he died and rose again. And we're reading the Bible because it's God's word. Right. It's God's word. It's right. Yeah, just letting people join here, and then we're going to dive into the book of Ecclesiastes. And if nobody joins, that's okay. I'm sure some people will go back and watch through this. My methodology for studying the Bible is to read it word by word, and if there's anything that I don't understand, I will cross-reference it with any other versions, or I'll also just look it up and see if that can kind of clear up anything. But we can just go ahead and get started, and we will get right into reading the book of Ecclesiastes. Whoops. Okay, so yeah, this is Google here. This is my first time streaming, but let's get that on eSword. Okay. Thank you. God bless you, Julian. We're going to get right into the book of Ecclesiastes here, guys. Let's start reading. All right. Ecclesiastes, written by King Solomon about 600 BC. The words of the preacher, the son of David, king in Jerusalem. Vanity of vanities, saith the preacher, vanity of vanities, all is vanity. What profit hath a man of all his labor, which he taketh under the sun? One generation passeth away, and another generation cometh, but the earth abideth forever. The sun also ariseth, and the sun goeth down, and hasteth to its place where it arose. The wind goeth toward the south, and turneth about unto the north. It whirleth about continually, and the wind returneth again according to his circuits. A big thing that it talks about in this book is vanity of vanities, which essentially means meaningless, meaningless. It's all meaningless. Or pointless. It's all pointless. So we can actually look that up. Yeah, we will look that up. But vanity basically means that it's meaningless. It's pointless. And the preacher has realized, as he's looked around the world, he's seen everything. And everything is pointless, from the work. People toil under the sun all day long, as it says here. And what is it for? For somebody else in the future. And it's even funny because it almost has this absurdist take on life itself. The preacher who's writing these words has an absurdist take. He even sees the sun hastingeth to where its place where it needs to go. Even the sun doesn't stop toiling all the day long. So it's almost a beautiful thing, and that's kind of what we're going to have a lot of, like that type of context within Ecclesiastes. Just a lot of this vanity is vanity, but towards the end of the book, he has a great conclusion. So let's just continue. All things are full of labor. Man cannot utter it. The eye is not satisfied with seeing, nor the ear filled with hearing. The thing that hath been, it is which shall be, and that which is done is that which shall be done. And there is no new thing under the sun. There's nothing new, right? From the toiling that we do, from the things that we eat, from the lives that we've lived, all throughout time, nothing has really changed. Is there anything thereof it may be said, see, this is new? It hath been already of old time, which was before us. There is no remembrance for former things, neither shall there be any remembrance of things that are to come with those that shall come after. Neither is there remembrance of former things, neither shall there be any remembrance of things that are to come with those that shall come after. If we think about 200-300 years ago, those people are in the dust now. I was just thinking about this today, is that without a belief in God, you just believe that you will become dust and there's no memory of you. Like, it's pointless, like the preacher says. Ecclesiastes 1:12. I, the preacher, was king over Israel in Jerusalem, and I gave my heart to seek and search out by wisdom concerning all things that are done under heaven. This sore travail hath God given to the sons of man to be exercised therewith. I have seen all the works that are done under the sun, and behold, all is pointless and vexation of spirit. Vanity means pointless, as we pointed out. That which is crooked cannot be made straight, and that which is wanting cannot be numbered. All the things that you want, it cannot be numbered. The things that are wrong can never be made straight. And that is what he has witnessed time and time again. And don't we witness it today, right? In today's world, he says nothing is new under the sun. You look around at our world today in Gen Z with the type of culture that we have, how degenerate as it has become. This is not new. This is really not new. And so Jesus actually came into the world to show the world that their works were evil. And when he came into the world, a light came into the world. Because all throughout time and history, no man has ever excelled above and done things that are truly good. Jesus said no man is good. And when you think about all throughout time, how we think that our generation is so bad, but really things have always been pretty bad. But we just started this live stream. Welcome to anybody that is just getting in here. God bless you. We are reading through the book of Ecclesiastes. I'm going to send it back to this screen really quick. Let's do this. Let's do screen capture. Yeah, I want to do a new one. Yeah. We're not, don't worry about that. Okay. Now we are good. Let's do that. Boom. Okay. So, we're just going to continue on, right? That is the first chapter of Ecclesiastes. That all is meaningless, all is pointless. Chapter 2. I said in mine heart, now go. I will prove thee with mirth, enjoy pleasure, and behold, this also is vanity. I said of laughter, is it mad? It is mad, and of mirth, what doeth it? I sought in mine heart to give unto myself wine, yet acquainting mine heart with wisdom, and to lay hold on folly, till I might see what was good for the sons of men, which they should do under the heaven all the days of their life. So he's trying to figure out what should men do with all the days of their life. He has witnessed it, and he's lived this whole life as king of Israel, one of the richest kings of all time, if not the richest king of all time, trying to figure out what should a man do with his life. I made me great works, I builded me houses, I planted me vineyards. I made me gardens and orchards, I planted trees in them all kinds of fruits. I made me pools of water, to water therewith the wood that bringeth forth trees. I got me servants and maidens, and had servants born in my house. Also I had great possessions of great and small cattle, above all that were in Jerusalem before me. I gathered me also silver and gold, and the peculiar treasure of kings and of the provinces. I gat me men singers and women singers, and the delights of the sons of men as musical instruments, and that of all sorts. So I was great, and increased more than all that were before me in Jerusalem. Also my wisdom remained in me. And whatsoever mine eyes desired, I kept not from them. I withheld not my heart from any joy, for my heart rejoiced in all my labor, and this was my portion of all my labor. Then I looked on all the works that my hands had wrought, and on the labor that I had labored to do, and behold, all was vanity and vexation of spirit, and there was no profit under the sun. And I turned myself to behold wisdom and madness, and folly, for what can the man do that cometh after the king? Even that which hath already been done. Then I saw that wisdom excelleth folly as far as light excelleth darkness. The wise man's eyes are in his head, but the fool walketh in darkness, and I myself perceived also that one event happened to them all. Then I said in my heart, as it happened to the fool, So it happened even to me. And why was I then more wise? Then I said in my heart that this also is vanity. We see in our life, you see good people, you see evil people, the wise and the fools, the great and the poor. Something awaits them all. What is it? What's the thing that awaits us all, no matter who you are? No matter if you are the fool who hasn't looked into anything, any sort of information, you just go about your life, but you're very happy because, with ignorance, you can be pretty happy. How about the wise man? The man who knows many things, who's researched a lot, studied many books. And then we can go down the list. All of these men have one fate, and that fate is death. That fate is death. And so the preacher's saying it's kind of pointless when he looks all around himself. He sees that it's all vanity, that it's all pointless. For there is no remembrance of the wise more than of the fool forever. Seeing that which now is in the days to come shall all be forgotten. And how dieth the wise man as the fool? The wise men die just like the fool does. We all turn into the dust. What's the point? It's all pointless. Therefore I hated life, because the work that is wrought under the sun is grievous unto me. For all is vanity and vexation of spirit. Yea, I hated all my labor which I had taken under the sun, because I should leave it unto the man that shall be after me. If you think about some of the greatest workers of all time, we think about the people who created the automobile. Think about the people who created the light bulb. Agriculture. Amazing things of the past, these amazing inventions that allow me to sit here, look through a camera. Somebody invented this camera. Somebody invented the aperture, the way the thing works, the electronics that are in it, the first computer. He is not around to sit around today and enjoy these things. He is not able to sit down and enjoy the fruits of his labor. The man who created the camera cannot sit down and use a camera today like it was intended to be used. His invention, he had no idea that his work would be used in the way it is today. How about the Wright brothers who invented the first airplane? Did you know that they actually only marketed the airplane to the military? They believed that their invention, the airplane, was only purposeful enough to be used by the military. They said, well, you can strap some guns onto this thing. You can strap some guns on this thing. And so the preacher in Israel is preaching to the Israelites saying, vanity, vanity, all is vanity. I am the king. I have seen the way that the wise live. I have seen the way the fool lives. Both the lazy person and the poor person, the lazy person and the hardworking person, they all die. They all turn to dust. Isn't that amazing? But really, with the absurdity that Solomon is trying to portray here, he's getting to an ultimate point. That if we all die, if we all go back to the grave, there must be some larger purpose to this reality in life. Because with everything he's seen under the sun, we will get to the point at the end of this Bible study, but it's going to be a pretty depressing one. This book is one of the most depressing books in the Bible, if you didn't know. You can look up Ecclesiastes, and it mostly talks about how all men have something awaiting for them, which is death, namely death. And no matter how hard you work, no matter how smart you are, no matter any of these things, we are all going to die. And so if you don't find that purpose within your life, or if you don't ultimately come to that, then of course there would be no purpose. But we're going to just continue reading here. Therefore I hated life, because the work that is wrought under the sun is grievous unto me. For all is vanity and vexation of spirit. Yea, I hated all my labor which I had taken under the sun, because I should leave it unto the man that shall be after me. And who knoweth whether he shall be a wise man or a fool? Yet shall he have rule over all my labor wherein I have labored, and wherein I have showed myself wise under the sun. This also is vanity. Therefore I went about to cause my heart to despair of all the labor which I took under the sun. Let's go back. Let's see what this says. And who knoweth whether he shall be a wise man or a fool? Yet shall he have rule over all my labor wherein I have labored, and wherein I have showed myself wise under the sun. This also is vanity. Solomon is getting upset because he's realizing in life that no matter how much he toils and works under the sun, his work and the profits of his labor eventually will be passed down onto somebody else. You could really only enjoy so much in this life. We really only have like 80 years, 100 years appointed in our life. And people work very, very hard in these times, and people leave such legacies behind for themselves. People leave such massive namesakes and inventions and ideas and such work that they've left behind. And Solomon sees that to leave it behind to somebody who might not understand what you were trying to do, might not have the same wisdom that you had, how amazing is it? How pointless is it, even, is what he's pointing out. Therefore, I went about to cause my heart to despair of all the labor which I took under the sun. For there is a man whose labor is in wisdom and in knowledge and in equity. Yet to a man that hath not labored, therein shall he leave it for his portion. This also is vanity and a great evil. There is some that go out and they truly seek out the labor, and they truly seek out the wisdom to understand the job that they have, or that sort of thing. Some people work their way up to the top by deceitfulness or way of their tongue. And either way, um, if you show yourself to be the wise man, what profit is there within that? This also is vanity. Solomon really just wants to portray to you that the point of life should not be your work or should not be your money. Because what point in life is there to leave a legacy when anybody can leave a legacy, right? Both the wise man and the fool can both leave something along, and the wise man, his legacy can be left to fools. It doesn't even matter that the wise man built up such an empire and such a legacy. His legacy and empire can be left to fools. We see that today many times. I mean, think about somebody like Steve Jobs, for example, with the innovation and type of things that he had in his brain, the type of genius that he might have had. Now, did he know that his legacy was going to be left down to people who are just rehashing the same sort of iPhone over and over every single year with no innovation? Probably no innovation in the past 10 years. It's been the same thing, just a better camera. And if you're not a photographer, you don't need to use that camera. The point is that Steve Jobs, a wise man in his work, in his field, has left his legacy in his company to somebody who didn't understand his wisdom, his innovation, the reason why he was doing what he's doing. But this is all pointless anyway. Because the point of your life is not to work, is not just leaving some sort of legacy behind. And that's what a lot of atheists and people who don't believe in God will say, is that your point of life is to leave a namesake, to leave a legacy, to leave a lasting remnant. You probably don't remember anybody from 300-400 years ago unless it was written in a history book anyway. So what Solomon says, what's the point? There's not going to be many people written in the history book. You don't remember your great 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 grandfather. Nobody really does. So let's continue on. For there is a man whose labor is in wisdom and in knowledge and in equity. Yet to a man that hath not labored, therein shall he give it for his portion. This also is vanity and a great evil. So just giving your work down to somebody who did not work for it. It's going to happen. It's definitely going to happen. So life is pretty unfair, isn't it? For what hath man of all his labor and of the vexation of his heart, wherein he hath labored under the sun? For all his days are sorrows, and his travail grief. Yea, his heart taketh not rest in the night. This is also vanity. So it almost is such an absurdity. He's coming from a philosophical perspective of absurdity, that a man works so hard in his life that he will continue to work in his sleep. He's going to be, you work so hard in his life, he's going to continue working in his sleep. But let's continue. Whoops. You didn't see that. There is nothing better for a man that he should eat and drink, that he should make his soul enjoy good in his labor. This also I saw, that it was from the hand of God. For who can eat, and who else can hasteneth hereunto more than I? For God giveth to a man that is good in his sight wisdom and knowledge and joy, but to the sinner he give travail to gather and to heap up, that he may give to him that is good before God. This also is vanity and vexation of spirit. We can read about God makes it rain on both. We can go here to Google. Let's get the verse here. That here we go. So let me just get all this stuff out the way. But Matthew 5:4, Jesus said in Matthew 5:4, that you may be children of your Father in heaven. He causeth his sun to rise on the evil and the good, and sends rain on the righteous and the unrighteous. Let's go back and see what the context is. But I tell you, love your enemies and pray for those that persecute you. To be sons of your Father in heaven, children of your Father in heaven, because he causes his sun to rise on the evil and the good, and sends rain on the righteous and the unrighteous. So if we were to go back here, there's kind of a cross reference that can be had with for God giveth to a man that is good in his sight wisdom and knowledge and joy, but to the sinner he giveth travail to gather and heap up, that he may give to him that is good before God. This is vanity and vexation of spirit. Because nothing is really fair. So, in this life, things tend to not be fair. We're going to continue on here, but Solomon makes just the point beyond that I could. Sometimes you see the strong man doesn't get the food, the fast man doesn't win the race, the smartest man doesn't get all the money that he's looking after. That happens. If things were fair in life, it would be very, very easy to see those things happen, but that doesn't tend to happen all the time in our life. So we're going to continue on. What's the point? To every living thing there is a season, and a time to every purpose under the heaven, a time to be born, a time to die, a time to plant, and a time to pluck up that which is planted, a time to kill and a time to heal, a time to break down and a time to build up, a time to weep and a time to laugh, a time to mourn and a time to dance, a time to cast away stones and a time to gather stones together, a time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing, a time to get and a time to lose, a time to keep and a time to cast away, a time to rend and a time to sow, a time to keep silence and a time to speak, a time to love and a time to hate, a time of war and a time of peace. What profit hath he that worketh in that wherein he laboureth? I have seen the travail which God hath given to the sons of men to be exercised in it. He hath made everything beautiful in his time. Also he hath set the world in their heart, so that no man can find out the work that God maketh from the beginning to the end. There's a lot of things that I think of when I read some of these verses, because, Jesus is the Alpha and the Omega, the one created before the foundation of the earth. And so that kind of brings that idea to your mind, the secrets made from the beginning of the foundation of the earth. But we can have some cross-reference of this concept going on. What does the worker gain from his toil? This rhetorical question reflects the theme of futility and the search for meaning in human endeavors. The preacher, who is Solomon, questions the ultimate benefit of labor and effort under the sun. Here, wait, it doesn't look correct. Let me fix this for you guys. There we go. So what does the laborer gain from his effort under the sun? This echoes the broader message of Ecclesiastes, which often highlights the transient nature of earthly pursuits. What does the worker gain? The term gain here refers to profit or advantage. In the context of ancient Israel, labor was primarily agriculture or related to craftsmanship. The question challenges the reader to consider the lasting value of their work. This theme is consistent with other wisdom literature such as Proverbs, which often contrast the temporary rewards of earthly labor with the eternal rewards of righteousness and wisdom. I 100% agree, and we can think about how some work that you do is not physical work, and that type of work lasts forever. The work that you do here, what is it? Building physical things, building physical objects, something to add to your portfolio, something that you can show off to other people. These things all go away at some point. Everything is done at some point, right? But building up things, Like we can even read, if I find the verse, but building these things up, building your treasures up for heaven, the fruits of the Spirit, right? Righteousness, purity, peace, joy, happiness. These are things that are truly worth working for in your heart. If you're just working for physical things, you are going to have pointlessness in your life. Because what is the fruit of all your labor? To one day give it on to somebody who didn't understand your vision, who didn't understand why you were working for what you worked for? Because one day you're going to pass on your house, your money, your gold and silver to somebody who didn't know why you were working for it in the first place. Fast forward 200 years, they're not going to know why you were working. They don't even know why. And so that's what Solomon's getting at, because he's seen it. Let's continue. I have seen the travail which God hath given to the sons of men to be exercised in it. He hath made everything beautiful in his time. Also hath set the world in their hearts so that no man can find out the work that God maketh from the beginning to the end. I know that there is no good in them, but for a man to rejoice and to do good in his life. And so he's saying, also he hath set the world in their hearts so that no man can find out the work that God maketh from the beginning to the end. I know that there's no good in them, but for a man to rejoice in the work. There is no good in the work that you really can do physically within this life, but for a man to rejoice and to do good in his life. And we have now just gotten to kind of what is going to be the overall overarching picture within Ecclesiastes, that if there is no real point to continue to work and toil, but you have to. I mean, we have to say there's no point to it, but then to also say you have to is not a contradiction, because we have to work, right? The person we can read. Let's see. I just want. If we read, okay, go to chapter 6, verse 11. Proverbs, Google here. Proverbs 6, and then we'll go to the bit about the sluggard. How long will you lie there, O slacker? When will you get up from your sleep? A little sleep, a little slumber, a little sleep, a little slumber, a little folding of the hands to rest, and poverty will come upon you like a robber, and need like a bandit. I do believe that we need to work. So this is not the concept is not here to say that we should not work. The concept is to say that with all the toiling that we do, even the sun toils all the day long to go back to its resting position and wake up in the morning. Everything around us is always constantly moving, constantly going, constantly working. For what point? To try to seek these things out is pointless. You're not going to figure it out. You're not going to figure it out. Let's continue. So yeah, there's a depressive tone within the book of Ecclesiastes, but it's an absurdist depressive tone, because he's going to highlight and illustrate the pursuit of earthly pleasures by a man does not satisfy him. But what will satisfy you is to follow God. That will be the ultimate satisfaction. And we will get to that. But let's continue. He hath made, okay, wait, we're right here. I know there's no good in them, but for a man to rejoice and to do good in his life. Whoops. And also that every man should eat and drink and enjoy the good of his labor. It is the gift of God. I know that whatsoever God doeth, it shall be forever. Nothing can be put to it, nor anything taken from it, and God doeth it, that man should fear before him. That which hath been is now, and that which is to be hath already been, and God requireth that which is past. There's nothing new under the sun. Solomon is kind of repeating the same phrasation here about nothing new being under the sun. Thank you for the super chat, by the way. Appreciate it. Thank you so much. And moreover, I saw under the sun the place of judgment, that wickedness was there, and the place of righteousness, that iniquity was there. I said in my heart, God shall judge the righteous and the wicked. For there is a time for every purpose and for every work. I said in my heart concerning the estate of the sons of men, that God might manifest them, that they might see that they themselves are beasts. And we are going to realize at some point or another that we are just like the animals. We think we are so advanced, but we are nothing like. We are the exact same as these animals. They die and go back into the dust. I think about what atheists try to illustrate. Atheists try to illustrate that there is no point to life, but that you can come to terms with it, so that every hug is meaningful that you have, and that every smile that you have is meaningful. But really, the ultimate absurdist take is that it is all meaningless and pointless. I can see why you've become depressed in this life. It's very easy if you do not have some sort of guiding light, guiding purpose, silver lining, which is God. How can you be happy without God? How can you have good things in your life if it was not already provided by God? Because there's order within this reality. And with all the chaos and futility of our life, to not have a sense of your creator, which gives you order within your life, how can you see that? Or how can you see the point? If your point is that it's pointless, as an atheist might say, well, every handshake, every hug, every smile is now meaningful because I know that I will die one day. That's what Solomon's getting at. Do you think he's writing these very depressive things to try to make the reader depressed? He's trying to show you the absurdist reality of which somebody who believes not in God exists in. They see no point to the toil that they have. They will reach a breaking point and say, I'm going to give all of the things that I've worked so hard for down to somebody who doesn't even know why I did it. That's reality. He looks around, nothing is fair, nobody has justice in their heart, nobody's good. And that's life. That's the reality we live in. And so if you believe, like, if there is no God, then yes, you are living for futile efforts. You are not living for a life worth living, essentially. So that's Solomon's take. But I said in mine heart concerning the estate of the sons of men, that God might manifest them, that they might see that they themselves are beasts. For that which befalleth the sons of men befalleth beasts, death. Even one thing befalleth them, as the one dieth, so dieth the other. Yea, they all have one breath, so that a man hath no preeminence above a beast, for all is vanity. We're so much smarter than the animals, but even we don't know when we're going to die, right? So, I mean, our fate is the exact same as them. And it actually traces my mind back to a verse in Proverbs that says, who's to say where the soul of the beast goes, up or down? How are we to say that some men are better or not better because they are simply human? I think there's a lot of some evil people here, and I've known some very good dogs in life, some very nice, good dogs. Who's to say that one man is better than a dog because he's a human, simply because he's a human? If you don't get my point, then that's okay. I'm just kind of following the same tone that Solomon's taking. If you don't get what I'm saying, let me know. But all go unto one place, all are of the dust, and all turn to dust again. Who knoweth the spirit of man that goeth upward, and the spirit of beast that goeth downward to the earth? Oh, okay, so it's actually just here in Ecclesiastes that it says it. Doesn't say it in Proverbs. But who knows whether the spirit of a man goes up or down, essentially to heaven or to hell, right? Are we simply better than are we all worthy of going to heaven? Of course not. And so the idea of all men just being better than the beasts, and simply all humanity will go to heaven because we are humans and we're better than the beasts. It doesn't seem like we're much better than them, just because we have language and we have reasoning, articulability, many other things. We don't seem to be too much better than the beasts of the field. Anyway, wherefore I perceive that there is nothing better than that a man should rejoice in his own works, for that is his portion. For who shall bring him to see what shall be after him? I don't know if Solomon is being sarcastic here, because it actually retraces my mind back to a verse which Jesus said, which, don't be like the Sadducees or the Pharisees who pray in the street or do their work in front of others, for they will get their benefit in front of others and they will have no no other reward. But Jesus said, do your prayer in secret and do your good in secret. Fast in secret. Don't let people know, because God will reward you in public. So we read here, wherefore I perceive that there is nothing better that a man should rejoice in his own work, for that is his portion, for who shall bring him to see what shall be after him? I think Solomon's not being sarcastic. He's just saying that a man should perceive his own works, see the good that he has done in his life, and be satisfied with it. Because there's nothing more. You can't see ahead into the future and see what legacy you'll what legacy will be begat you. You're not going to see what sort of namesake you will leave behind. You can only see what is here and now. So what works that you have done, what good works you have done, Solomon is saying to rejoice in them. But it was just retracing my mind to what Jesus said, where those who do their good works in public will be rewarded there on the spot, and they will have no further reward in heaven. But people who build up their treasures in heaven, or who pray in secret, fast in secret, and do good things in secret, will be rewarded in public. The beginning will be the end, Alpha and Omega, that sort of thing. So, first and the last, the first will be the last will be the first. The one who does good works in secret will be rewarded in public. The one who does good works in public will not be rewarded with his treasures in heaven, that sort of thing. We kind of read that a lot. The one who cries now the one who mourns and cries now will not later, right? They will laugh later. So I returned and considered all the oppressions that are under the sun, that are done under the sun, and behold the tears of such as were oppressed, and they had no comforter. And on the side of their oppressors there was power, but they had no comforter. Wherefore I praise the dead which were already dead more than the living, which are yet alive. Yea, better is he that both they which hath not yet been, who hath not seen the evil work that is done under the sun. Solomon is literally saying, it's better to not be alive than to be here and see the type of evil works that are being done under this sun. So again, with the absurdist philosophy of Solomon. The absurdist philosophy of Solomon is that all there is to this life is to work, 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 and then die. That is what Solomon has seen. Again, I considered all travail and every right work, that for this is a man envied of his neighbor. This is also pointless and vexation of spirit. The fool foldeth his hands together and eateth his own flesh. Better is a handful with quietness than both the hands full with travail and vexation of spirit. I mean, this is 2,000-year-old wisdom. More, I think this is 3,000-year-old wisdom, and it rings true in our heart today. Absolutely. 3,000-year-old words. Isn't that amazing? It's amazing. Let's see if anybody has anything to say about this chapter. Vanity is increased unto men by oppression. Okay. Then I returned and I saw vanity under the sun. I actually want to talk about Ecclesiastes 4:6. Ecclesiastes 4:6. Better is a handful with quietness than both the hands full with travail and vexation of spirit. I believe that there is a verse, if I can find it. Yeah, this is what that verse reminds me of, actually. So, as you can see here, better is a handful with quietness than both the hands full with travail and vexation of spirit. Solomon's saying, better is a little bit with quietness and peace in your life than with both your hands full, your cup is overflowing, but you have so much travail, problems, and vexation of your heart. Read this right here. Proverbs 15:17, a bowl of vegetables with somebody you love is better than steak with someone you hate. Isn't that awesome? It's kind of the same sort of idea that goes on, right? They do a lot of juxtapositions within the Bible showing you two type of things. And essentially the point of why they do this is to show you good and evil in a way that your brain can comprehend it. That it's not always about earthly pursuits, earthly pleasures, because A bowl of vegetables with somebody you love is better than steak with somebody you hate. This is true. And what's like the main takeaway from it is that you should understand that the things that are not physical are much more important or much more something you can savor more than simply a meal, which is a physical earthly pursuit. Amazing. We go back here, and then I returned. Okay, Ecclesiastes 4:7. We're back. And then I returned and I saw vanity, pointlessness under the sun. There is one alone, and there is not a second. Yea, he hath neither child nor brother, yet is there no end of all his labor. Neither is his eye satisfied with riches, neither saith he, for whom do I labor and bereave my soul of good? We're going to do a cross reference because this is amazing. Maybe we can actually. There is one alone. Maybe there's a parallel. Okay.
Chapter 4. So I returned and considered all the oppressions that are done under the.
Sorry about that. I do not want that playing. Just trying to get more context on this verse here. Thank you to whoever has tuned in and watched. I appreciate you all. We are talking about the book of Ecclesiastes. Thank you. Just taking a little break. Gonna drink some water. Hopefully, is the stream still going? I think we're still live, right? I think the stream is still going. Yeah, we're still live. Okay. First stream. Pretty good stuff. Okay, we are back. Let's go back to Bible eSword. There is one alone, and there is not a second. Yea, he hath neither child nor brother. Yet is there no end of all his labor. Neither is his eye satisfied with riches, neither saith he, for whom do I labor and bereave my soul of good? This also is vanity, yea, it is a sore travail. Two are better than one, because they have good reward for their labor. For if they fall, the one will lift up his fellow, but woe to him that is alone when he falleth, for he hath not another to help him up. And because I'm not fully understanding this verse, this is what I do. I go to Google and search it. We're going to see what it says. You can even go here onto this page and you can go to the Hebrew. So there is a man without even a son or brother, and though there is no end to his labor, and his eyes are still not content with his wealth. For whom do I toil and bereave my soul of enjoyment? This too is futile and a miserable task. And we see that in our life, guys. We see that with a lot of these people who work so hard, billionaires, millionaires. Sometimes they don't even have like any family. They're an only child. They don't even have a brother. They have nothing to give it to. Who are they working for? But anyway, that's besides the point. There's nothing new under the sun, right? In almost 3,000 years, nothing has changed. Two are better than one because they have a good reward for their labor. For if they fall, the one will lift up his fellow, but woe to him that is alone when he falleth, for he hath not another to help him up. And again, if two lie together, then they have heat, but how can one be warm alone? Just, he's, I guess, speaking physically, really. Is he saying, how can two, if two lie together, then they can have heat, but how can one be warm alone? Just in life is generally better to have somebody else. And if one prevail against him, two shall withstand him, and a threefold cord is not quickly broken. If you have different bonds and people in your life that are important to you, keep them around. Try to make better connections with them, because a threefold cord is not quickly broken. It's just a saying of wisdom to say that when multiple people work together, things can really get accomplished. I believe that's what it's trying to say. Better is a poor and wise child than an old and foolish king, who will be no more admonished. For out of prison he cometh to reign, whereas also he that is born in his kingdom becometh poor. Out of prison he come to reign, whereas also he that is born in his kingdom becometh poor. Let's just search that up too. So we have some different versions here. For out of prison he cometh to reign, for he comes out of prison to be king, although he was born poor in his kingdom. Because out of prison and chains sometimes a man cometh forth to a kingdom, and another born king is consumed with poverty. Okay, that's kind of a good translation. For out of prison he cometh to reign, whereas also he was born in his kingdom becometh poor. So here it's saying, better is a poor and wise child than an old and foolish king who will no more be admonished. We always, like, God has no respect for the things that we have respect for in this physical life. You read the word king here, and you immediately think, oh, that man must be better than this child who's poor. But Solomon is saying that the poor and wise child is better than an old and foolish king. And um, and then we read here the idea, it says, because out of prison and chains sometimes a man cometh forth to a kingdom, and another born king is consumed with poverty. So somebody who's foolish can come out of prison and chains and inherit a kingdom. Yet somebody that is a born king is somebody with their mind, with their wisdom, and they can be consumed with poverty. And so he's seen this, and it's a great evil, and it's a big, pointless thing that happens. Again, if two lie together, then they have heat, but how can one be warm alone? And if one prevail against him, two shall withstand him, and a threefold cord is not quickly broken. So yeah, let's just continue. About to head on to chapter 5 already. Wow. I consider all the living which walk under the sun, with the second child that shall stand up in his stead. There is no end of all the people, even of all that have been before him, and also that come after shall not rejoice in him. Surely this is vanity and vexation of spirit. So he has seen many a poor and wise children, where they go forth into the world, and they are wiser than even the kings, the foolish kings. And we can see that today. Look at the rulers that rule this world. Many of them are more foolish than the people around you. Many are more foolish than some random person that is sleeping on the side of the street. Some people sleeping on the side of the street would make for better rulers than these people. Yet, that is the life we live. So who's to say, how can you sit here and say that the point of life is to work and do all these things when some people are born kings but are vexed with poverty? Chapter 5 of Ecclesiastes. Keep thy foot when thou goest to the house of the Lord, and be more ready to hear than to give the sacrifice of fools, for they consider not that they do evil. Be not rash with thy mouth, and let not thy heart be hasty to utter anything before God. For God is in heaven, and thou upon earth. Therefore let thy words be few. For a dream cometh through the multitude of business, and a fool's voice is known by multitude of words. This seems like it's going to be deeper than originally thought, so let's look that up. The phrase, for a dream cometh through the multitude of business, and a fool's voice is known by multitude of words, is from Ecclesiastes 5:3. It suggests that a busy life can lead to vivid dreams, and that a fool can be identified by their excessive talking. This part, the first part about a dream cometh through the multitude of business, this part suggests that the stress and activity of a busy day can lead to intense and potentially confusing dreams. I think it could be more about like daydreaming, and a fool's voice is known by his multitude of words. This indicates that a fool in this context is characterized by their tendency to speak excessively and without much thought or purpose. In essence, the verse compares the restless nature of dreams with the restlessness of a fool's mind and speech. It's a reminder that both busy lives and excessive talking can lead to a lack of focus and clarity. Wow, that's amazing. So, a busy life leads to vivid dreams, and a busy mind can lead to excessive talking. So, to soothe your wild dreams, you might want to calm your life down. I guess this verse is saying you should probably calm your mind down if your mouth is going 1,000 miles per minute. Pretty amazing, Solomon. When thou vowest a vow unto God, defer not to pay it, for he hath no pleasure in fools. Pay that which thou hast vowed. Better is it that thou shouldest not vow than that thou shouldest vow and not pay. Yeah, definitely don't make any vows, or definitely don't make any, what's this called, where you put your hand up and you promise that you'll do something. Don't promise anything, because how can we even promise another day on this world? Jesus said, let your yeses be yeses and your noes be noes. And so making a promise when we can't even promise the hair on our head tomorrow, we can't even promise anything. So don't make any promises unless you know for a fact that you will fulfill that thing. Because God will definitely see that and say, why are you making these promises? Why are you making these promises, you know? So I tend to not try to promise anything 100%. Suffer not thy mouth to cause thy flesh to sin, neither say thou before the angel that it was an error. Wherefore should God be angry at thy voice and destroy the work of thine hands? For in the multitude of dreams and many words there are also diverse vanities, but fear thou God. If thou seest the oppression of the poor, and violent perverting of judgment and justice in a province, marvel not at the matter, for he that is higher than the highest regardeth, and there be higher than they. So you see oppression, poor, and violent perverting of judgment and justice somewhere. Don't marvel at that, because there is even higher in some other regards, in elsewhere, potentially even in your own life. We tend to marvel at something and say how bad this particular thing is, yet there's worse things happening at home. Keep that in mind. Moreover, the profit of the earth is for all. The king himself is served by the field. He that loveth silver shall not be satisfied with silver, nor he that loveth abundance with increase. This is also vanity. When goods increase, they are increased that eat them. And what good is there to the owners thereof, saving the beholding of them with their eyes? I'm a big silver fan. I like silver. And when you gather up a ton of silver, what good increases of it except more people who want that silver or want that good? The point here is that as you gain more, your responsibility increases, and you should be able to let that abundance provide for other people and help your community or the people around you. And so if you just build up your physical possessions for your own wealth just so your eyes can see it, what's the point? What's the point? The sleep of a laboring man is sweet, whether he eat little or much, but the abundance of the rich will not suffer him to sleep. Got a lot on their mind, right? If you're rich, you got a lot on your mind. You can't sleep very well. There is a sore evil which I have seen under the sun, namely riches, kept for the owners thereof to their hurt. But those riches perish by evil travail, and he begetteth a son. So, a big part of Ecclesiastes is the earthly pursuits that we've been talking about, right? Building up your earthly pursuits, building up your earthly possessions, and not chasing after the things that are unseen, having the hope that is unseen. Jesus spoke about a parable about the man with the storehouse. Um, this parable, the parable of the rich fool. So if we go to Luke 12, we'll read the parable of the rich fool, which coincides with a lot of the themes that are in Ecclesiastes. And we will read this parable. Someone in the crowd said to him, "Teacher, tell my brother to divide the inheritance with me." Jesus replied, "Man, who appointed me to a judge or an arbiter between you?" Then he said, "Watch out. Be on your guard against all kinds of greed. Life does not consist in an abundance of possessions." And he told them this parable. The ground of a certain rich man yielded an abundant harvest. He thought to himself, "What shall I do? I have no place to store my crops." He said, "This is what I shall do. I will tear down all my barns and build bigger ones, and there I will store my surplus grain. I will say to myself, 'You have plenty of grain laid up for many years. Take life easy, eat, drink, and be merry.' But God said to him, 'You fool, this very night will be demanded your life of you. Then who will get what you have prepared for yourself?' This is how it will be with whoever stores up things themselves, but is not rich towards God." Absolutely amazing. And that definitely coincides actually with what it's speaking about in Ecclesiastes. That if we just go right back here, there is a sore evil which I have seen under the sun, namely riches kept for the owners thereof to their hurt. But those riches perish by evil travail, and he begetteth the son, and there is nothing in his hand. So right here, when goods increase, they are increased that eat them, and what good is there to the owners thereof, saving the beholding of them with their eyes? You never know when your life is going to be demanded of you, like Jesus said. So the rich foolish man said, "I'm just going to build up all my possessions and just sit back and just finally relax, right? I got everything built up, guys. I have nothing left to do." And then that night his life was demanded of him. So I see that kind of these themes running over themselves, which is amazing. Yes, that's true. If the Lord is willing. I agree. I tend to leave my yeses at yeses and nos at nos, and I try not to make any vows or make any promises because I know that what sort of promise can I uphold? I mean, I can't even tell you for sure if I'm going to be here tomorrow. How can I tell you whether I'm going to do something less important than me staying alive? Me staying alive is at the utmost importance, and I don't even know if I'm going to be here tomorrow. So how can I promise you that I'm going to be able to do anything? When somebody asks me something, I'll say yes. Somebody asks me something, I say no. But if somebody really assures me, like sometimes I've been asked, like, you have to promise me, you have to promise me. Maybe I will go that route in the future, Bradley, if the Lord is willing. I like that. So we left off at Ecclesiastes 5:14. But those riches perish by evil travail, and he begetteth a son, and there is nothing in his hand. As he came forth of his mother's womb, naked shall he return to go as he came, and shall take nothing of his labor, which he may carry away in his hand. We can't take anything with us. Everything goes back to the grave. I believe that's in one of the Proverbs, that you came here and you can't take anything with you when you leave. Everything stays. So just remember that, right? And shall take nothing of his labor which he may carry away in his hand. But this is also a sore evil, that in all points as he came, so shall he go. And what profit hath he that hath labored for the wind? All his days also he eateth in darkness, and he hath much sorrow and wrath with his sickness. Behold that which I have seen, it is good and comely for one to eat and drink, to enjoy the good of all his labor that he taketh under the sun all the days of his life, which God giveth him, for it is his portion. Every man also to whom God hath given riches and wealth, and hath given him power to eat thereof, and to take his portion, and to rejoice in his labor. This is the gift of God. For he shall not much remember the days of his life, because God answered him in the joy of his heart. we realize that as Solomon goes on, he is absolutely beating into your head the idea that you can't take anything with you. The work and the earthly pursuits, the possessions, the toil is ultimately for naught if you do not have God, if you do not recognize God within it. When I was an atheist, I I did not believe in God, obviously, but I thought that there was some good that might be out there for me. That there might be some good that I could chase after and pursue, and that this would be something good. As I have grown older, I realized that any man that claims that he knows the answers to what good and evil is and how to do good in this life without God is in darkness, leading other people in darkness. I had no idea the danger I was in, living a life with no purpose other than to chase after earthly pursuits, earthly possessions, and ultimately pass down meaningless sayings of work hard, it'll work out, on and on and on. Passing down these phrases that are ultimately meaningless if you do not have a connection with the Creator. So I thank God every day that He took the scales off my eyes because me, as an atheist, did not realize the danger I was in. And why does Solomon say something so obvious and so simple that we cannot take our possessions with us? Because many people out there, they think they can, right? It's in our human nature to be thinking that this way of life will go on forever until you reach that breaking point and realize that's not true. You get to a point, right? Let's say you are a rich man. Let's say you've done a very good life. You're pretty wealthy. You might be 50, 60 years old. People have what? Midlife crises at that point. Why do they have midlife crises? Because they realize what was the point of me working so hard? I can't even take any of this stuff with me. The death starts to set in their brain. I am going to die. I'm going to go back to the dust of the earth. What was the point? And so if you do not have some deeper purpose or realization, and the only way is namely through Christ Jesus, then you are going to be stuck. Because I know I was. But thank you so much for watching. That is the first part of studying the book of Ecclesiastes. We have not gotten to the good part yet. This all is great once you know the context, but it's pretty depressive. And an absurdist philosophy for sure. There's really no glimpse or like sliver of like something you can hold on to because it's very sad and kind of depressing and being like, okay, well, the work is for nothing. Your riches are for nothing. Everything is unfair. But don't worry, guys. It is going to turn up in the next one. We're going to go through the last 6 chapters of Ecclesiastes. This was just me reading it, giving my thoughts, and studying it. Thank you so much for watching. And for all the future people, go watch the next one. We are going to try to do more of these live streams down the line. Thank you. Bye.